Welcome to the Picture This podcast. I'm your host Cam, and in this show we'll be talking about the creative world of photography and videography and the secrets to running a wildly successful photography business. Let's get it. Welcome back to the podcast. In this episode, we'll be talking about the 4 things that will greatly improve your videography skills in 2023. Let's get into it. You're definitely going to want to watch this episode to the very end so you can hear the last tip that I found is the most common mistakes that photographers make, that if you make this adjustment or this change, you will be amazed with the quality of your work. Number 1 on this list right now is pick a direction and shoot. Far too many times you see people shooting video and what they're doing is they're not picking a direction and moving with the camera in that one direction. They do, like, I'm gonna call it the Apollo sort of feel, right? Imagine you're in space and you can't control where you move or how you move. You're just floating all over the place. Well, they tend to do this with the shots thinking, I'm getting a good shot because everything's there, and it's not. It looks ugly. It's just the worst thing ever. And then also, you may shoot for too short of a time. So instead of you getting a clip that's about 10 seconds long, you do like 2 seconds and think, I got the shot. You didn't. Spend more time on each shot and make sure you give it at least 6 seconds minimum. And to the direction, what you do is you pick a direction, okay? Left to right. Do it several times until you have the shot. If you're gonna do up, down, then do up, down, right to left. Go over it several times so that you know that you have the shot and you give it that count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You don't want to just do 1, 2, I got it. Because when you get home and you start editing, because that's where the magic happens. You start editing, you realize I didn't get the shot I wanted. I didn't give it enough time. Now you've got to do other things, slow down your footage. Now when you're watching, it looks funny because that one clip is even slower than everything else. It's stretched, it's dragged. So to avoid something like that, I advise you take your time, choose your direction you're going to be shooting, and then give it the time to shoot. So give it the couple seconds that you need to capture the shot, and that should greatly improve the way you capture video. Now to number 2. Don't change your settings while action is going on. It's happened to me before and it wrecks your video because you're trying to change your setting to suit what's happening right there and then. If you know you can change it really quickly, then fine, but I implore you not to change settings during a scene of action. Your camera will start shaking. You'll have unstable footage that we have to now stabilize. You're gonna have a variance in the footage. So let's say your camera was too dark and you changed your lighting, or you change your shutter speed so you can get it brighter. Cool, but now you have a video where you're going from light to dark and it's just not the greatest when it comes to your video. It actually takes away from your project. So what you should do is, if you're going to a new location, change your settings before you get there. So you look at where you're gonna go, and as soon as you get to that new location, you should be changing your settings, and so your camera's ready to go. You don't want to start recording, like you record in a dark room, then you go to a light room and the action starts and now you got to start recording and now you're trying to change in camera. It's just the worst scenario and you want to avoid it. I've seen it happen to countless videographers and it really does not make for good content. It actually takes away from your project. So that's one thing I would definitely avoid as much as possible. Number 3. Keep your shots consistent. I don't know how many times in my years I've seen this where videographers are just not consistent with their shots. Example, remember when I said you choose a direction and you shoot that direction? Throughout the day when you're shooting, try to maintain those directions so that your shots are consistent. We want to know what we can expect from what you're going to deliver. Imagine someone shoots an interview with someone and they're shooting it from all sorts of different angles and you only need it from one direction or from 2 directions, but they're giving you this inconsistency that's all over the place. If you know that, okay, each time you do this, you're going to do it a very specific way, someone can rely on the fact that I can provide you with this job knowing that I've seen what you've done before, I'm going to deliver something similar to this, shot in a similar fashion, versus, well, this one's done this way, this one's done that way, this one's one's done this way, and they're all over the place. They're not consistent. It's a problem. So try to avoid being inconsistent with the way that you shoot. If you're an editor, is when you realize these things. When you start seeing, when you receive these files, that holy crap, this wasn't done properly. Like, why did they do this way and then this the other way? You'll start picking up on it when you're editing more. It can literally drive you crazy. So definitely be consistent as much as possible. Last but not least, number 4. So for me, this is one of the most important things. Your auto white balance. It sucks when you get footage where you're like, yes, I'm expecting this white, beautiful footage of this room. You're getting the video and the footage is yellow. It's the worst thing ever. It's happened to me before where you shoot and your colors aren't set up on your camera, and it has you doing more work later on, especially with post-production. It's already taking up too much of your time doing post-production, but now imagining that extra 2 to 3 hours of you trying to fix white balance in your project. It's not a happy experience. So if you're going to be shooting any content for yourself, for family and friends, get your white balance together. Make sure your white balance is on auto, or you literally set up all your lighting so that your white balance is giving you the correct sort of light that you're looking for. Nobody wants to shoot footage or have footage that's completely off, because now you're going to spend hours trying to fix that in all the shots and then blend them together, and then it's just a lot. So try to shoot in a way where you're able to have your correct white balance. Imagine every project you're going to shoot, you're not going to edit and someone else is going to edit the project. You want to make it as easy for them as possible to get the content, plug it in, and start going. If they got to spend another 9 years trying to fix, white balance situation you've put there, it makes it harder for them and it's more costly. That's one of the most important things, literally, when it comes to shooting video this year. If you can get this in place as a beginner or as an intermediate shooter, I've run into pros that have still made this mistake. And so you can't put it by anybody, but definitely make it your life's mission to get your white balance correct so that you get the very best out of your camera. Once again, thank you guys for passing by this Monday and listening to this podcast. You don't understand how much I appreciate it. Subscribe to the podcast and follow us on TDOTPICS on Instagram and Picture This PC on Instagram. Let's get it.